Hi, I'm Margaret Lewin and welcome to Margaret Lewin Quilting. Today we're going to be working on our March block, and the March block consists of 4 patches, blocks, and then spacers in between them. So according to the directions, you can see I've cut out all of my pieces so they're all ready to go. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take these smaller strips. I'm going to lay it right out in front of you so you can see it. And I'm going to take one of our background fabric. This is our darkest purple. I'm going to lay those, put those right sides together, and I'm going to sew down this entire row. I'm going to do my typical 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to sew all the way down. When I press it, I'm going to press it towards our background fabric. So it will be pressed this way. I'm going to do that to both the dark purple and then the lighter purple. And once I've done that, I'll come back and show you what our very next step to do with. I've got my strips and I've sewn them together. One of the things I did do was I cut them in half. They were the width of the fabric, and I just find it easier to work with a smaller piece. So I set my seams, then I pressed them to the background fabric, and now I'm just gonna butt them up nice and close together. Just nestle in those seams together as best I can. And one of the things I want you to know about the way this pattern was written, it's written so that you have to go back and square things up, because I found that that's the best way to make sure that my pieces are the correct size, is to have to go back and square them up. So I've got both of my pieces here, and now I am going to cut them. I'm going to first start by trimming off my selvage down here, because we don't want to leave our selvage in our quilt. And you can see I've got them lined up on the lines on my cutting mat. And I just need to scooch this one just a little bit more. All right. And then I'm going to just start cutting, and I am going to cut both of them at the same time. I've used totally different lines to line them up, but I am going to cut them at the same time. I want to make sure I'm straight on that. Okay, so now that I've got it here, I'm just going to trim this, and then I'm going to use these 2 edges to just line up my pieces, and I'm going to cut them so that I've got all of my blocks. I am going to go through and cut them all at the exact same time. And then once I've done that, what I will do is take them over to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to sew them together. So I'm just going to create a nice little pile and then just keep cutting. All right, so I'm going to take them over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew this way, because I want this seam to push right into this seam. So I'm going to stack them all just like this. I'm going to sew them all in the same manner, and then I will come back once these are all sewn and show you how to go about squaring them up. So I'll be back in a few. All right, I want to show you what I've got going. Here is, I've sewn them together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open them up, and then I'm going to open the center and pop that seam so that I have this little teeny tiny 4 patch in the center. What that's going to do is on the back side, see, it's going to have everything going in this nice little twirl. So I'll do it again. So I'll just take my pieces. I'm going to put my thumb on this top one so it goes this way, my thumb on the bottom one so it goes this way, and I just go like that. And then there's my nice little 4 patch. I'm going to do that to all of mine, press them, and then we'll be squaring them all up. All right, once you have all 16 of your 4 patches done, the next thing that you're going to do is square them up. And obviously I'm standing at my ironing table, so I can't do it here. But I want to show you how I'm going to square them up, all right? They need to square at 2.5, and every single one of my blocks had to be squared up. I want you to know that. So it will be absolutely normal for you to have to square all of them up. If you can see right here on my Creative Grids ruler, there's a spot that says quarter. See, it goes 1 1/4 here. So in a quarter here. So what you can do is you line up your block so that you've got this quarter point right here where these 1/4 inches all go together, and you square in square with your rotary cutter, then you rotate it, and you do that exactly the same way again. You line up your quarter here, your quarter here, and right here you've got this little V, or little, yeah, it's a V. This little V, you're going to tuck that right in the corner where all the points meet. Then you can very nicely square up your 4 patches. And I do want you to square every single one of them up, all right? It's only 16. It won't take that long. Once you've done that, then we're going to start putting our blocks together. Now that I've gotten my 4 patches all trimmed and I've cut my other squares, I need to start putting these together. But I do need to be very careful in the way in which I match them, and I'm going to show you why. I'll lay this one out first. The pattern directions call for the lighter colors to touch each other when you get all 4 pieces together. So make certain that when you're doing this, this is the layout that you have. What I'm going to do to ensure that I have that layout is I'm just going to stack mine exactly like this, and this will allow me to just set this next to my sewing machine, and I will be able to just quickly and easily fold them up and sew them together. So what I'm going to do is take these over to my sewing table, and I'll just pick them up like this, set them down together just like that in stitch. All right, then that way when I take them to press them, I'm going to be in the same order so that I don't mess those up, because that's really not something that I want to do, because I will have to take them apart. So I'm going to get these sewn, and then we'll be back for the next step. So here are my blocks sewn together. You can see my lighter purple is in the lower corner on both. So the next thing I'm going to do is just take them and rotate them just like this. Right? I'm going to flip this over, and on this one I can actually nestle the seams together, and I'll show you. See, they just kind of go right in really nice together, and then you can see them. And I'm going to sew right down here. And I've got one that I've already sewn. So here's the one that I've already put together for us. And you can see it's just the nice perfect 4 patch. And it's a 4 patch within a 4 patch. I'll flip it over, and I want you to see what I did again. I opened up my seam, so I have my little 4 patch right there in the center too. There's a couple of threads there, but that's okay. So see my nice little 4 patch? So now it's time to pull out your directions. This month's block has been set up with some spacers in between it, and I'm going to show them to you so that you can see what it is that it looks like. This is our last 2 months block. So here's our center star, here's our border, and now we're creating really what's another border. So what we're going to need to do is cut the little strips of fabric that go in between. All right, so you're going to just put these pieces all together according to the directions. The directions tell you exactly what size to put together and where to do it. Now I'm going to start walking you through what you're going to do. So you're going to measure on your block your center star with the borders, okay? And our borders last month should have ended up at 15.5. So you're going to measure from the top to the bottom on one side, in the center, and then on the other side. You're going to add those 3 numbers together and then divide it by 3. That's going to give you the average. So that should tell you exactly how long you need this piece to be. Well, it should measure out to 15.5 because that's what this size is. If it does not measure out to 15.5, what I want you to do, let's say it measures out to, let's say 16, okay? What I'd like you to do is on this center piece right here, I want you to take a quarter here and a quarter here off and then sew it back together again. The reason being is because it's very, very important that these two pieces, when they get attached, are 15.5 inches long. That's how long they need to be in order for it to go in together. Okay, so now what I want you to do is cut your extra pieces here. I want you to measure that piece when it's all put together. Then I want you to measure your center block with the first border. And I want this strip and this strip to measure 15.5 inches. All right, like I said, if it's not 15.5, you're going to make your adjustments in here. And you're going to do it on both sides equally. So that's what you're going to do. And on the next page, what you're going to find is a really nice little sheet to tell you exactly how to measure it. So what you're going to do is measure 1, 2, 3. Put your numbers 1, 2, 3, total them up, divide them by 3, and that's going to give you your average. So now it's time to start using the spacers for the center part, or the top and the bottom. And here's, whoops, got it upside down. Here's your spacers for the top and the bottom. You've got 3 blocks, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 strips. So again, if you have too much and it does not measure according to the directions, this is where I want you to make your alterations, okay? You can make them again in these 2 little ones. We don't want to make the alteration here and here. We want these to line up perfectly on these 2 corners. So if we have to change something, we want to do it in here, all right? And here are your directions, exactly how you're going to put it together. The last point that I want to show you that you need to be careful about is make certain, see this arrow that we've got here on that? You want to make certain that that arrow is lining up with your light purples. So your light purples and your dark purples are all going that way, all right? That will ensure that what happens when you put your star together, that you've got this border around it the way it's done. So now I'm going to show you where we're at with your quilts. Now, mine's all done and mine's all quilted, but I want you to see what it looks like at this point. So I'm going to lay it down here for you so that you can take a peek at it. So here we are. You can see, whoops. Just a sec. This is what it's going to look like when you get it done. So here is where we're at right now. We're just bringing this fore patch all the way around here. This is where we're at right now, and I wanted you to see it and see what it looks like. Next month, what we're going to be doing is working on these. It's actually called the eccentric star. I call it a whirligig, but it's an eccentric star. So we will be working on that next month. If you have any questions at all on how we put together our fore patches, please do not hesitate to contact us because we would be very happy to answer any questions that you have and walk you through it. So, thank you so much for joining me today, and I cannot wait till next month where we'll be working on the eccentric star. And I've got a little hint on things to help you do those so that you can do them even quicker. I'll see you next month. Bye.